Hello, I'm Joseph, and this is going to be, I think, the most important video you can watch of this series. This is the starting grounds, the foundation of the building of an app. And this is an idea that someone else has. I, it's very confusing in what's exactly is going to transpire from this, but at minimum, there should be some rev share happening. And it's their idea, but I am executing it to the fullest, doing the prototype, design, programming, deployment, hosting, all of it. And I found them on cofounderslab.com. I highly recommend it. There's a bunch of people on here already. You have a really good opportunity to kind of find other people to work together. So if you do design, you want a programmer, you do design, that type of stuff. This is only one of the few I found that actually has an active enough user base. There are some paid features, but you can use it for free and reach out to other people without having to pay the website. So I thought that was really cool. Now, let me talk about their idea, and I don't want to sound negative about everything I'm about to say, but I want to be very clear that my workload compared to theirs, and I'm doing like 90, 95% of everything, which is not ideal in the slightest. But let me talk about their idea. So they currently have Airtasker. They are located in Australia. Now, if you're looking for a co-founder, you want someone in your same country. I'm not in Australia. I've never been there. If there's any legal issues, it's going to be impossible for me to resolve them. I don't have the money to go and do any disputes to Australia. So, and vice versa. So if you're going to find a co-founder, make sure it's in your same country, more specifically like in the same state or province. This way you have an easier way to handle legal issues. But yeah, anyways, they want to do something like Airtasker. It's already available in their country. Um, Australia actually doesn't seem to have much competition other than Airtasker for that. I don't know because I don't have the insight that they have in their country. But they want to basically replicate this and do a couple things different. And that's the idea. Now, what do they have they offer? They don't have any technical expertise. They don't have any design. They don't have any business background. They said they work in a pharmacy. I don't know if that means they're a pharmacist or something else, but they're not that. They're still pretty young. And the way I'm looking at this is, first of all, they're female, and they do want to get to tech. They have a little bit of like working the waters of doing some programming stuff. So if anything, I can help them kind of realize either they like tech, they like programming, or maybe they like design aspect of it, or maybe they just like the business part of it. And all I'm hoping from their part is they handle the business side of stuff, because that's the only thing I just don't want to do on for specifically because it's going to be in Australia. The company is to be in Australia, not in the United States. So it complicates stuff quite a bit. And so yeah, that's the idea. It's something like Airtasker or TaskRabbit or Craigslist or Angie's List or Facebook groups or Facebook Marketplace. You kind of get the idea. And it's just going to be mobile app to start with a website to maybe give some of the postings out so we get some SEO value out of that. So that's the idea there. Now, what do they give me to start with? Um, they gave me a couple papers and some screenshots, and then they said they had some code. I was like, oh wow, maybe they know how to program. I was asking them questions, but they didn't seem technical enough to really answer any of this stuff. But they said they have the code. I go download it. It's in Flutter, which is Dart, and it was like 5 pages. It was like a dookie brown color, and it didn't really do much other than like log in, register, and that was it. Um, and then when I looked at the person's, is this like a public repo? I was like, that they can't be that dumb to put their project in a public repository on GitHub when you can do this for private. Like normally you do a private project, you add someone to it. No, it's a completely public project. And then I go look at the person, and it's not them. They're a female, but this person is a guy, and he's in France, and he's on Fiverr, and he offers a Firebase Flutter 15 $5 payment for 5 screens. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is not her code. So I was pretty bummed. Like, is this your code? No. Okay. And then she started giving me some more screenshots, but they weren't of her computer because they were also in French, putting two together. I was like, whose flowchart is this? Whose computer is this that you're giving me pictures of? And it's like, oh, it's the guy that was helping me. And I just want to put something clear up front. Um, it is absolutely in your interest to cover everything that you can, because everything that she just showed me is a huge liability for her, for me, and any investor moving forward. Because this person could then go back and say, hey, I wrote this code, I did this flow chart, this was my logo, that type of stuff. And even though he's in France and she's Australia, it still leaves some room, some wiggle room for this to come back. And I was like, there's also copyright laws. When you normally write code, it is like literature. It's automatically copywritten to you. You just can't go and take it from some place and say, let's use it and move forward with it. So everything had to be dropped. And on top of that, they were also using Firebase, which is an unknown cost for a startup. You do not want to be using Firebase. Yes, it could save you a ton of time, but when you launch your app and you get like a $300 bill that you weren't expecting because you were on the free tier, or your just app stops working because you're on the free tier, and you got to move to like the Spark program, it's just not a really good thing to depend on to go live with. I'd recommend it for someone who's already established, that has the money to invest into Firebase, but don't. And there's other things like you can do push notifications, crash analytics, or just analytics in general. All that's fine. But when you're using it as the database, as the storage for your photos, as all these things that Firebase has expanded into, not the greatest thing. So we're starting from scratch. Her pictures that she showed me of what I had shown there of these pictures of this stuff, I'm taking it in strides. I'm not using this too much, but I told her to go to like Dribbble. If you don't know what Dribbble is like a website you can pull really good ideas here. I told her just go to the mobile section, do some searches, pin them, save them, share what you have. So I get some more ideas, maybe what you're thinking about for usability, interactivity, colors, that type of stuff. So that's the first starting point. And then another one is she doesn't have a business set up, and she doesn't have a business bank account or none of that stuff. And because this type of app requires a bank account, because there's going to be monetary transactions happening, it's critical. And one problem with this type of app is that the money going from the person posting the job to the person doing the job is going in between this app. So she's grabbing the money and effectively putting to quote unquote escrow, holding the money until the job is complete, and then paying the person who did the job. Banks do not like this. And so I told her yeah, get a bank, but make sure you're of the terms of that bank. And one thing I can say, if you're just really stressed out and you're not quite sure what to do, you can look at it's around here, Novo. So Novo is something I have some experience with. It's a free business checking account. They have some fees for express transfers, but most of it is free, which is really cool. But they are in the United States. So I told her to contact them, make sure that there's not going to be any international transfer fees, because if they're operating in Australia only and they need to do a transfer fee from one Australian to another through the ACH or wire transfer or whatever, we don't want to be hit with a $20 international transfer fee or something like that, because we didn't expect for it. Now we just ate $20 to get in $3 or something like that. So I just told her to do that, look at that. And then we also need a merchant or a gateway, or actually both of those, or a dual provider. So a merchant, the purpose of a merchant is they can help you reduce the fees that you get charged from Visa, accepting credit cards, that type of stuff. And you can get it down to sometimes 10 cents to even lower per transaction. So you're not paying any percentage, you're just paying 10 cents for a $3,000 transaction. And that's usually good, but you could be spending anywhere between $250 a month to even thousands of dollars a month to have that happen. And she doesn't have the money to spend on that. So we're going to be looking at not only just a gateway, but a gateway provider that also does the merchant services. And then we just provide the bank. And so what we're going to go with is Stripe. I don't have it up. So Stripe. We have Stripe here. You can also do PayPal. Authorize.net also now offers an all-in-one solution, but it's $25 a month plus 3%. It's way more than what it's worth than just going with PayPal or going with Stripe. And we have other stuff we want to integrate. If we go with Stripe, we still want to integrate PayPal. And I asked her if there's any other like payment services in Australia, she said BPay. So I've been looking at a little bit of BPay, see if I can integrate that as well. Because the idea is like if somebody wanted to get paid, they probably don't want to wait 5 days to get their payment. They want it probably as soon as possible. And Australia doesn't have Cash App. It doesn't have Venmo. It doesn't have Zelle. It doesn't have any of these like online payment solutions in Australia. At least that's what she told me. So I was trying to, okay, PayPal is available there, BPay, and Stripe, we can do transfers, but it's like 3 to 5 business days. So there's that. And then for the tech stack, we're going to keep with Flutter. We're going to drop Firebase, and we're going to go with Go, Postgres, and MiniIO. MiniIO is like an S3 alternative for Amazon for hosting photos and stuff like that. And the idea is that I'm at least picking technology so that we can scale at some point. But initially, we are targeting like a super cheap VPS. This is the one I use now. We're not going to use it because it's not available in Australia. I found one in Australia that offers VPS that is not as good as this, but it's like $10 USD that I don't mind paying for. It's not like it's nowhere near as good as this, but it offers like 3 terabytes and 30 gigs and like 2 V cores and 4 gigs of RAM on the other side. But you can just do something like this. And the idea is I will host MiniIO and Postgres and Go. And I've already set this up. I already have a fully working backend. I can log in and register. I'm using protocol buffers and gRPC for just kind of making things really quick. We're going to have a chat system. So gRPC has kind of like a WebSocket type of way to have this bilateral. Is it bilateral? Anyways, you can go back and forth between server and client. It's a constant TCP connection type of thing. It is going over TLS. So it has a SSL certificate via Let's Encrypt. So all pretty basic stuff. It did take quite a bit to set up. So it's not for anyone who doesn't have the technical skills to kind of do this. But again, it's leading to like just spend as little money as possible. And then some other things, we're using Monday for managing the project. It's free for 2 accounts. We're just 2 people, so it doesn't really matter. It's a free service. That's fine. And then in terms of what I'm using for design, Penpot. So Penpot just released version 2. It is you can host it for yourself or you can use their online service. Both of it's free. And so I've been building it out. Version 2 just launched and it broke the Material UI library it provides you. And so I stopped using it because it's not rendering as, maybe they to fix it already, but I was just in such a crunch to try to get this out, to get some questions to start to be asked for how the app will start to look. And this is not like a full design. This is the wireframing process, getting the workflow in, or make sure that the data on these pages are the data that we're expecting. The flow, the navigation is what we're expecting, and that's my target right now. So I have a couple screens here. They do have an interactive mode, so you hit play, you kind of get this thing here. Let me see if I can go back to the start here. Click it. So this is just like the start screen. You can sign in or create account, then choose this, click on next, create account. You have things like your post a job. You can go to your bid section and click in here. You can accept the bid, that type of stuff. And then you have, I started like a map thing. For maps, that's another area of concern. I recommend her, let's just go with OpenStreetMaps. We can do a self-hosted solution if it becomes a problem for like speed, but OpenStreetMaps is completely free. This way we're not paying Google Maps because we're not providing a free mapping solution right now for anything. So that's all that's there. And then we have like a list view or a map view. You can go between like jobs and skills, depending on if you're looking for a job or you're trying to post a job and you're looking for people to potentially work without posting it. You just want to talk to them directly. Then we have like a chat system here. And yeah, so pretty basic. There's a start to have a start of a conversation, because everything that she gave me for these pictures here is there's not enough to go off of. It's like this right here, like provide verification of ID. No, let's not do that, because it's manual intervention that we didn't do customer service on, that we're already going to have to do customer service on when there's a payment issue, when there's an issue between the 2 parties, and we're doing arbitration now because we're handling the money between these 2 people. So there's not too much else to really say for it now. There's still a lot to be done. I'm estimating about 600 hours of my time. And if I do like 20 hours a week, um, that is about the time that they want to go live. I will probably push harder on the weekends, obviously, so I can do more than 20 hours, but I'm just saying at least 20 hours on my part because I do have a full-time job. I can't sit here and do this all day. If I could, this thing will be out in like 2 months. So, yeah, this is like a 5 to 7 month process, and I will try to do videos every 2 weeks. I don't think I can do one every week because I don't think there's going to be enough progress done in that time unless they have some exciting news on their part. I do want to put a couple things in context. They are going to meet an investor next month or maybe in like 3 weeks. So I'm just pushing for right now to have wireframing done so they have something more than a couple pieces of paper to show the investor. I already told them they're not going to get invested. Like if anything happens, they'll maybe have like an angel investor and we'll get like $5,000. And I told her like, you can't touch that money. That's going to go just for advertising. You cannot use this for anything else. And because she doesn't have a business set up, it's going to be taxed in Australian money, whatever, and it's going to be problematic because then it's not a business. It's a sole proprietorship, and you can use your own checking account in that for Australia, just like you can in the United States. But it's not ideal because any money she gets now, she's paying taxes on as well, and that's money that we can't use. I don't know. It's just complex. Anyways, if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff, please let me know. Till then, take care.